Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our latest webinar about DIY called the Digital Advantage Next Level Experiences in Home and Garden. I'll give it a minute for everyone to join, and in the meantime, let's do some housekeeping. If you can hear me all right, can I ask that you raise your hand or put a thumb up, please? Excellent. Right, now, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask them throughout the webinar, and we'll answer them at the end during the Q&A. I'd like to introduce our very special guest, Steve Collinge. Most of you know him already, but if you can introduce yourself, Steve, please, for the ones who don't.
Thank you, Jeremy. Good morning, everybody. My name is Steve Collinge, Managing Director of Insight Retail Group and Executive Editor of Insight DIY. And as you may know, I live and breathe the home and garden industry.
Great. As for myself, I oversee the commercial operations in Western Europe at FactFinder, and I've been involved with retailers for over 10 years now, with a focus on customer experience and online conversion. So starting with a good news for everyone in the DIY sector is that according to a recent report, the global market is expected to reach over $1,200 billion over the next 8 years. So there's plenty of opportunities for retailers to make an impact and continue seeing growth post-COVID. And that's the agenda for today. So we'll be focusing on best practices to connect in-store and online experiences in the home and garden sector. We will look at how to engage customers at every stage of the buying process. Also, how AI and machine learning technology can help forecast demand trends and how to anticipate customer needs. So we're going to highlight the 4 stages of the buying process and customer experience is actually a sum of all these steps. And if you fail to deliver early on, the customer will most likely continue his journey somewhere else. So Steve, can you maybe give us an overview of these stages?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Jeremy. So this is very simple and very basic in some ways, but it's also critically important. And often, really, the buying process is not necessarily broken down into these specific stages. They tend to blur with many retailers. You've got the inspiration piece, which, of course, is very much these days owned by socials, really, the social media route. That's where the inspiration happens. You've then got, when somebody is inspired to do a project, they start the search process, which again, most of the time now starts online. So many websites fulfill the purpose of search, but don't necessarily do much in terms of inspiration. And you can also search online and buy online, of course, but also you can browse in store and purchase in store. And then once you've decided on the project, you've bought what you need for that, you then have to complete the actual project. And interestingly enough, this process probably hasn't changed in the last 30, 40 years. We touched on this in the last webinar, which was about adapting the online store for the generational shift that we've seen. You know, go back 50 years, you were inspired in different ways. You were inspired by perhaps magazines or newspapers, friends' houses. You'd then go to a bricks and mortar store to buy, and the completion of the task, whether it's 1950, 1990 or 2022, you still got to put the paint on the walls, unfortunately, or wallpaper or lay the decking, whatever it is. So the completion bit is really identical. But what's interesting in this is how because each of these stages tend to be owned by different parts of the business, you don't get that synergy for a customer who is looking for inspiration, looking for a project to do, looking to search for the items they need and to buy them and some help, and then to actually do it. It's very, very fragmented at the moment. And that's part of what we're looking at today in terms of best practice.
So inspiration, that's the first step of the buying process. Steve, how have retailers been handling it in the industry?
Well, going back to my previous point, it's fascinating that you see some fabulous inspiration on social media, great examples from retailers. And then when you go onto the website, that inspiration has almost entirely vanished. Unless perhaps you're somebody like, a kitchen retailer where you can take those beautiful pictures from online onto your website. And many of the established home and garden retailers, there's a real absence of inspiration when you go onto their website. And then you walk into a store and there's no inspiration there either. So it's not carried through from this is the project that you can do on Instagram or on Pinterest. You don't then see any evidence of that online, and there's even less evidence of that in store. You're faced with just meters and meters of product, and often not enough help or people around to be able to guide you through that project as well. So these projects often store, and they store because people are not doing these projects very often. So they're an irregular purchase. And what customers want is help in that search process online and in store. And that's what I see is missing, certainly with many UK retailers at the moment.
Absolutely. And, the thing is, retailers, they actually have what they need on the website to help provide that inspiration, but they're not actually using it well enough. So I'm talking about these blogs, about these articles that you can use to enhance the experience. And here we can see a best practice from one of our customers, Obi. Let's say someone is looking to buy a barbecue grill, and most retailers would only show popular search terms, products, categories, and just leave it at that. But you can also provide inspiration straight from the search. And that's what we call content discovery. Obi here, they're not just listing those products and those categories, they're also putting a piece of content. They're putting these articles that they have on their website straight from that search, from the suggestions. And here you can see on how to clean your barbecue grill, how to light it properly, some tips, for example. And you could even add some imagery. So obviously that always helps for inspiration. That content discovery is something that's particularly key in the DIY sector because, like you said, Steve, consumers are looking for projects and they see the retailer's website as a source of truth, somewhere they can turn to help them with their projects.
Yeah, can I just jump in and say a couple of things here? I mean, firstly, let's be honest, with the majority of our consumers within this category, both home and garden, I include myself in this bracket, most of the time we're frankly pretty clueless. We know what we want to do, but we do need some help and support. And what I see with many websites, they are just frankly lazy. The websites have just mirrored what you find in store, which is effectively a list of products, a menu list of written products. Now, if you know exactly what you want, then it's easy to search for something. If you have no idea what you're searching for, all you have is a lovely picture of the project that you want to create, whether it's paneling in a lounge or in a bedroom. You don't necessarily know what wood you need for that or how to attach it to the wall or what particular paint you need. Utterly clueless. And when you try and search online, if you type the word wood or timber, you're not going to find what you need in that space. So there are two things here. Let's assume the majority of not all of them, of course, but a large proportion of our customers haven't got a clue, but they are enthusiastic. They've got the money. They want to get cracking on this project, but they then can't find what they need. And they are faced with websites that just give them lists and lists of products which mean nothing to them. This example, which is a great example of best practice, takes people from, if this is the kind of thing you're looking for, but actually, what is the project? What is the job? What is the task you're doing? Let us help you with that and give you a list of those products. So it's so simple and so obvious, but so important in this buying process.
Absolutely. So now we've inspired people. The next stage of the buying process is the search for products. What can you tell us about this stage?
So the project purchase, Kingfisher did some work 5-6 years ago. They identified there were around 500 projects in a home and garden store. For those people who know me, you've probably heard me talk about this before, and they sit on a scale. They sit on a scale of simplicity or cost or time. At one end of the scale, the simplest project is buying a replacement light bulb. It's low cost, it's a single product, and that's the simplest project. The other end of the scale is, quite frankly, building your entire house. Or come back from that, you have an extension built or a kitchen, bathroom, new kitchen, new bathroom, flooring. And then when you get to the easy end of the scale, again, it's sort of the painting and decorating, those type of projects, which a lot of people will take on. So this is an example of probably one of the most simplest projects you can do, replace a light bulb. So therefore, let's assume it's going to be really, really easy for me to do that. You can walk in store and be faced with thousands of light bulbs, or you could type light bulb into the website. And in a typical online store, that's what you get. Thousands and thousands of different light bulbs. Now, Jeremy, I don't know what you do at a weekend with your friends. I can't imagine you spend or have long discussions about light bulbs and the very nature of the caps and the fittings, because frankly, we don't care. All we want is to replace the light bulb that we have at the moment. We don't know that the cap on a certain light bulb is a GU 5.3. Don't know, don't care. Just make it easy for us. So this is a best practice example of where let's just move away from the website being lazy and assuming a certain amount of knowledge with our customers and move it on to something that actually helps them in that buying process to get something which shouldn't require a lot of thought, quite frankly. Absolutely.
And most of the time, just like you say, you go to a website and you see basic filters, basic navigation, so very similar to what you see in the second picture. And it's just a painful experience of scrolling down for 2, 3, 4 minutes or trying to use these basic filters. And unfortunately, we're all too familiar with that experience. But again, here, just like in the first stage, there is a very simple way to help customers find the right products, and that is using intelligent filters. So on the picture on the right, you can see how our customer, Max Fadekamper, who specializes in electrical goods, they took advantage of the fact you can put images in the filter. So when you're looking for a light bulb, you can quickly see the one you need and just select it. And it's such an easy fix that I really want to encourage the retailers that are watching the webinar today to be creative and make the most of those filters and think, how can I improve on the basic filters I have right now?
And it seems so simple again, doesn't it, to have visual search clues. When you're unfamiliar with the terminology in a category, a small picture, whether it's of a light bulb or whatever it is, instantly you know, oh yeah, that's it. I didn't know it was called that, and I've instantly forgotten what it was called, but that is actually what I need. So taking it from a list of products and menu options for you to tick when you don't really know what you want, through to very simple search visualization, for me is just a significant improvement in such a simple way that you kind of think, well, doesn't every website do this already? But the reality is they don't.
No, and the thing is, if you're able to make these shopping experiences painless, you're most likely going to get recurring customers after that.
Yeah. Anything which speeds up the process to find the product you want, find the correct product, and be able to simply and easily buy it, collect it, whatever is obviously the key to this.
So we're still in the search stage here of the buying process, and we can see that one word can lead to many different results, Steve.
Yeah, this is starting to move into that space of personalization, really. People are, again, very tired of searching and not being able to find what they want. There's an expectation you're going to find it very quickly and very easily. But if you're not searching using the right terms, then it's going to take a long time to get to that point. And this happens again and again and again on some of the leading retailers' websites, that you just can't find the product that you want. However, if the website understands you are actually buying as part of a certain project, then that personalization becomes a lot easier. You will instantly be able to narrow down to 2 or 3 search routes that then get you finally to that product that you want much, much faster. So everybody talks about personalization, and there's some examples of best practice within this particular webinar today, which just make that so simple and so easy without massive investment, without having to take loads and loads of data to bring this part of the search process to life, really.
Yeah, and so we say personalization is key here, and all reports indicate that customers want a shopping experience that's tailored to them. So we need to simplify that product discovery. What personalization allows us as well is to know what project the customer is working on, and then show them those relevant products. There was actually a Forrester report that found that 1/3 of adults say it's important that retailers provide product recommendations that are based on the shopping or the browsing history. And if we look at the younger audience, let's say aged to 18 to 24, the figure went up to 46%.
Yeah, it's very interesting, isn't it? And again, what you get in many websites is, I've talked about lazy websites already. I'm going to talk about clumsy recommendations now. Now, if I'm looking for a blue widget, let's say, on some kind of website, some home and garden website, what I get recommended to me is either what are already bestsellers or what the retailer wants to sell more of. So they might suggest an orange or a green widget, completely irrelevant to me, clumsy recommendation, because I want a blue one. So the ability to be able to identify relevant products to that project, personalized for that customer, are critically important. Stop giving me irrelevant suggestions that come from a completely different reason, which is not actually what I want. So, and I see that all the time, even on Amazon. You see just clumsy recommendations thrown at you because that's the best that they've got in terms of what they think you may be looking for.
So we're talking about personalization and relevancy, how it's key to retain customers. And I think everybody agrees on that. So if we all know that is so key, why is it so hard to solve? And personalization is really nothing new. It's been around for years. The thing is, not all personalization is the same. And most retailers are not actually doing personalization. What they're really doing is segmentation. And that's no fault of their own, because all vendors offering product discovery solutions say they're doing personalization. But the reality is they're putting people in boxes, Steve, through that segmentation.
Only during this work with you, Jeremy, have I come across this term that it's not personalization, it's segmentation. And it just dawned on me, yesterday I was thinking about this, and that is so true. We get put into boxes either by our age or by our preferences, which doesn't always dictate what it is you're looking for. In some categories, I might want the lowest price. In other categories, I might want the highest price product. And so again, it's lazy to take people through that route and just put them into boxes. There's a huge amount of very, very valuable data sitting with retailers. Data which is available in terms of in-store loyalty cards, purchases online, and much of this data is barely ever used. And the best that people can do is dump people into boxes and assume, therefore, that this is going to work with and describe it as personalization when it's so far from that. It was a really interesting point that landed with me when I first started to dig into this a little bit deeper.
You're exactly right there. And I think another problem that we have with this traditional so-called personalization techniques is that it often relies on gathering data on products to understand which ones are popular, which ones are often sold together. But then you're limited to historical data. And then there's just not enough data for conclusion that I would say are meaningful, really. Another issue you have as well, it only works for 10% of the product range. So the rest doesn't work as intended due to buying behavior changes or changes to the product ranges and so on. And finally, the problem that we have as well is that all these new or niche products, they're then less likely to get shown. And so less likely to be interacted with, and they can't work their way up in the ranking, even though they might actually be more relevant than the bestseller, Steve.
Yeah, and when you're buying grocery products regularly from a food supermarket, this way of categorizing data probably works pretty well because the retailer knows what you're buying regularly, can recommend offers to you. And And that's great. And then you get the vouchers through and you think, yeah, actually, this is what I buy on a regular basis. This retailer knows me. It doesn't work in home and garden very often because we are taking on projects that may be one-off. So it's a slightly different project, or we're trying something new. It's an irregular purchase. It's not every week that you lay some decking in your garden. Therefore, you're going to go back into the store all the time. And you're not going to do the following year or in 4 years' time. It's there for 7, 8 years. So the very nature of the purchase process in home and garden doesn't lead to a very simple way to segment data. And all they have is historical stuff. So they'll know I painted last year, so a certain retailer will, but they have no idea that I might want a kitchen in the next 18 months. It's just nothing, a total and utter disconnect in this data between what they have, and therefore it comes back to that segmentation again, because the best we can do is assume that at your age you might be a homeowner and you're going to take on certain projects at some point in the future. So again, a mismatch in terms of the data and using that effectively.
So now you might have heard some digital analysts talking about these immersive experiences or invisible experiences, all these future experiences as well, to try and anticipate customers' need. And the goal is to know in advance what your customers want and providing it at the right moment. So it's really about moving past this physical limitation, isn't it?
It is. I mean, there's a couple of points here. The first one I see is that, I could have bought a kitchen in the last 3 months from a retailer, and I could walk through that physical store. And unless I'm using some form of loyalty card, they would have absolutely no idea. I might be that store's biggest customer in the last 6 months. No recognition whatsoever, no ability to personalize anything for me. Again, a total disconnect between me being a very loyal customer for that retailer, wanting to spend with them, none of the staff, the company just doesn't know me from anybody else. So the ability to personalize online for that customer then, and to offer a unique online store effectively. I mean, if in the physical world, to demonstrate this, just the way I would see it is, you sort of follow a customer leaving their home, and you see their garden, and you see the colors of the furniture and the walls and their kitchen. You see them walking out, and they walk into a physical store. And as they walk in, all the aisles in front of them are flipping and turning over, and all the garden furniture is turning upside down and coming out as the colors that match their garden. You get this perfect personalized physical store with the products that are relevant to that customer and their home. Now, of course, in the physical world, you can't do any of that. You can't even do anything close to that. You just assume from the 30,000 products there that hopefully they're going to find what they want. But online, using the data and analytics, the AI, you're not limited by those physical challenges. You actually can start to deliver a unique online store for that customer, which for me just presents so many interesting opportunities for the future, and to build loyalty with that customer because that customer knows that you know them and what they're looking for.
Yeah, no, I like how you painted that. Maybe we need to hire you in the marketing team as well, because that was a pretty good picture. But you're right, we need to make that store unique for every customer. And the thing is, it's actually possible with today's technology. So you can actually create something that's giving customers that convenient and that personal experience that they want. And this is where the FactFinder's AI algorithm comes into play. So what we'll do is we'll analyze the product data and group similar products in what we call context clusters. And so a context that can be very wide. It could be, let's say, a whole category. It can also be narrow. So it could be, let's say, all the drills from the same brand. And what these clusters do is just go beyond pure text matching and help display similar products. And products in a cluster can also absorb information from each other, making the learning process extremely fast. And all these new and niche products that we talked about before, they aren't going to be ignored anymore. And we're going to be able to pick up seasonal trends from that. And if you think about it for a second, that's quite powerful, because someone is going to do a search on a website And they're not talking to a person in a shop. They're telling the fact finder algorithm through search what they want. And thanks to these context clusters, we're able to understand and give them what they want. And we don't just do text matching, Steve.
Yes, it just, it's a really interesting development in this ability to be able for the retailer to control for that customer what they're seeing. So first of all, you're helping them in the search process to get them to the right place. But then you have the ability for the retailer to make far more valuable recommendations to them, whether it's from innovation perspective or seasonal trends, and all of that personalized by what their project intent is. So this, for me, it's a very exciting development.
Yeah, and to take this even a step further, FactFinder also allows you to personalize by current intent. So what is the customer looking to buy at that precise moment? In that session, what is he after? You don't actually need any historical data. If you have historical data, that's even better. But if we don't need it, the algorithm understands the current intention through the interactions of that customer. And that's from the very first click. So with just one click, and also with all the interactions after that, with the different products, we understand the brand preference, we understand the budget, the color, the category, and then we can create a true one-on-one personalization in real time. So what does this look like in practice, Steve?
I mean, going back to those customers being clueless and needing to have really their hand held during this process, the retailer that can take them from the inspiration to the search to quickly and accurately find the product that they want or make relevant, not clumsy recommendations to them, then the entire purchase journey then for the customer feels and seems almost seamless, as opposed to what you have at the moment is the stop-start of trying to find what you really want. So that leads to a greater conversion rate. You get a broader and larger basket spend because those recommendations are relevant. Going back to that customer wanting to replicate that cladding project, you're recommending the adhesive and the correct paint and everything else they need. That because they didn't know they needed that. Then you get the additional basket spend. You get fewer exits because people are not bouncing off, thinking, I've not been able to find what I want here. I'm going to have to go somewhere else to try and find it. Let me try another retailer's website who may be able to hold my hand better than this one. And then, of course, that delivery of a seamless project, you then get loyalty because people think, well, actually, last time I wanted to do a project, that retailer helped me specifically through this without even realizing it was just simple and easily. And I will therefore go back to them as my first choice next time. And that loyalty piece is critical at the moment, where so many home and garden retailers are doing the same thing with their websites in a relatively lazy way and not getting the differentiation or cut through with customers that they need.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's imagine for a second, so we're not lazy. We're going to be looking at wood panels for an outdoor patio here. And you're going to do a search for a varnish. And if it's a website that doesn't work personalization, that is lazy, it'll show you all the available varnishes. But we know at FactFinder that you're most likely going to work on an outdoor project. So if we can rearrange the whole digital aisle, so to speak, we can then show you outdoor varnishes first. And the customer will see a retailer that understands him, and they'll be a lot more likely to return to the shop.
But it almost just seems logical then, doesn't it? It's like, again, it's one of those simple things that you feel, well, surely that's done at the moment, isn't it? But it's not. I recommend anybody type in varnish into any retailer's website and have a look and see what you find, because it's just, it's a bit like walking into the store and looking at the wood care aisle. You just have thousands and thousands of tins, different terminology, varnish, wood dye, wood stain, waxes. If you've not done that project before, you actually don't know. In fact, the more products you see, the more confused you are, because you thought the word was varnish, but you're not sure it actually is now. You have to trust that the retailer is going to hold your hand and guide you and say, well, actually, if you are doing that external project, this is what you need to go with it. And it's simple then. And all the other options that aren't relevant just disappear into the background.
Yeah. Let's say they picked the varnish for their outdoor projects and they have a final look at their basket. And this is where you can recommend a suitable brush to apply the varnish. So the difference you can make here again is if you understand which journey your customer is on, you can make such a difference and you can increase your AOV. So instead of having a standard recommendation engine, we can show you not the best sellers because they might not be relevant for that journey, but we can show you and give a great customer experience and increase that brand loyalty.
And as that funnel gets tighter and tighter in terms of searching, you can almost do smart things like if they're purchasing so much of the wood, let's say, the external cladding, whatever it is, if you're buying a certain, then you may need 2 tins of that varnish. So therefore, for the website to then say, well, actually, based on your wood, you're going to need an extra tin here. That is just, it's what would happen if you were speaking to a member of staff in store. They'd be saying, well, actually, you probably need, so how much do I need for this? Well, you probably best get 2 tins for this. And for the website to understand that, again, it's so simple, but saves that customer running out while they're in the middle of the project and thinking, I've got to go back to the store again and buy some more. It's this piece that I talk about the website being sort of the center of all knowledge, that it should know that. It's stop just giving me a list of products, understand what I'm doing, make some recommendations, doing so much more than just being a list of products. Otherwise, all a website is a search tool to find something. And then I'd probably go off and buy it from somewhere else anyway. So you need to do so much more.
Now, let's move on to the third stage of the buying process. So you found a product and you're buying it now. What are we seeing with the market right now, Steve?
Yes, unfortunately, you have to hand over some money at some stage in this kind of process. So again, you've got so much blurring of the channels here, whether it is buying online and getting it delivered to you, whether it's buying online and picking up in store, whether it's buying online and picking up from a locker. You're seeing some fantastic innovation within this space from retailers, really understanding that part of the customer journey. The search piece, they're kind of ignoring to a certain degree and spending a lot of money on trialing the collection piece. And that's partly because I think it's Home Depot in the States did some research and found out that with the click and collect route, first of all, if you're click and collecting from a local store that has the stock, it's a cheaper option than delivering it to your home, because often you have to deliver twice and there's issues like that. So first of all, it's cheaper for the retailer for you to go and collect it. And then the most startling fact being 80% of those customers that click and collect from the store then go on to buy other products from that store. So those retailers with a nationwide network of stores have suddenly realized stores are not the problem that we thought they were pre-COVID. They have now become a very, very effective tool. And when that links in perfectly with the website and where the website is sharing information about that store with you, then you really have distinct advantage actually over retailers that are pure plays that don't have stores, that all they can rely on is their website to be able to convert that sale. So it's a very dynamic area at the moment, really interesting developments in this space. But retailers have to think of this search piece and then the purchase and the collection as just one part of that process we spoke about at the very start.
Exactly. And you need a functionality like FactFinder's Geo module to help connecting these offline, online experiences. So consumers are using more and more multiple touch points, like you mentioned, click and collect. And reports actually show that 52% of adults think it's important for a retailer to offer the ability to buy online and then pick up in store. And I think that's even more crucial in DIY because let's say you're going to buy a t-shirt, you don't actually mind waiting a couple of days for it to be delivered. But if you're in the middle of a project, you need it as soon as possible, really. And there was actually another report that indicates 63% of shoppers say that real-time in-store inventory is an important feature. So again, let's say you're in the middle of a project and you might actually realize that you need some extra screws.
I mean, again, it's one of those things you kind of assume that every single retailer website already has this functionality. But of course, when you think about it, some do, and you think, oh, that's really smart that they know the local store to me has 7 of these in stock. That's great. I'll reserve one now and go and collect it. And to go to the next stage and to be able to make recommendations to say your store has them and it's in aisle 30 while you're in there, it helps you to begin to realize the new role that websites have. No longer just basic functional product lists. They become the part of the retailer's offer that holds your hand, that leads you down that route to say, look, if this is what you're looking for, actually, you might need a little bit more. How much you're buying, we'll make a recommendation here. You do have it at your local store, or if it's not at that store, there are other stores that have stock. Or we can have it delivered to your home, or you can collect it from a locker. But if you do go to the store and you want to buy something else, then this is where you find it. It's just, again, so basic, but so valuable for a customer who is clueless in this particular project. They need that help at every stage.
Yeah, if we look at this great example, I think it's brilliant from Obi, here blurring the channels. If you want to buy parquet planks on your phone, let's say, Obi will only show you the right amounts, how many are in stock in your local store. And I've never seen that in any other website before they even show you where it is in the store. So that's an amazing example from Obi there, really.
Yeah, I was in Germany last week and I was speaking to a German guy, and he was saying he was doing a particular project in his lounge, and he had beams and he wanted to cover up the beams, and he wasn't quite sure how to do it. And with Obi, you can actually message them. So there's a contact number. You can send them a message and send them pictures and say, this is what I'm looking to do. And he thought he'll message on Sunday morning, expecting them to get back at some point Monday, Tuesday. Sunday afternoon, they responded with a complete list of products and options and how-tos relating to that project, which he then went on to buy online that evening, and he got the job done the following weekend. So just that reaching out and that understanding of the customer journey and filling the gaps, that's the best way to describe it. Retailer has to fill those gaps. DIY is about doing the project yourself. It shouldn't be DIY in the purchase process, where you're just completely on your own, trying to work through lazy websites or trying to find your way around a store with thousands of products. Surely the retailer's got to help you with this. And interesting examples from that retailer. I think many UK retailers could learn from the stuff that Obi's doing at the moment.
Yeah, and that geo module I mentioned, obviously, which is a functionality you need for finding the location. It will also allow you to do, let's say, local sales or local prices. So if you have, a local shop, then you can also work with that thanks to that module.
Right. Okay.
So now we're on the last stage where we actually need to do the job. What are retailers doing on this last stage, Steve?
Yeah, and unfortunately, you've actually got to get the job done then, haven't you? And each of those 500 projects I spoke about early on, they've all got timescales associated with them. The simplest one, the light bulb, should be no more than 30 seconds to replace your existing one. It's not always the case because you find you haven't bought the right dimmer one or something like that. But and every other project has different levels of complexity, time, and spend related to it. And this is, again, where the retailer needs to come into their own, because you may want to take on this task yourself, whether it's an easy one, semi-complicated, very complicated, depending on your levels of confidence as a DIYer. So, again, what are the retailers doing to help in that space? Now, the best way to help may be for the retailer to recommend that job is done for you by a local expert. The whole kind of task rabbit with IKEA, the need help acquisition that Kingfisher made. Why not help people with that last stage of the process? But if they don't want to do that, and of course, in this current economic climate, what we are certain to find is that customers will be taking on these projects more themselves, partly because of the cost of finding tradespeople, partly because a lot of tradespeople are still fully booked for 3 to 6 months. So they are taking on the tasks themselves. In that case, the retailers need to complete their part of the bargain here and help those customers, whether it's YouTube videos, whether it's guidelines, whatever it is, and just help be by their side in the garden while they're completing that project, or by their side while they're painting the walls. And if they come across a problem, be there to answer it for them. It's fundamental part of this. Too many retailers sell them the product, wave them goodbye, and think their job is done at that stage. And that's where the problems start, because all the research I ever see is there are so many unfinished projects sitting in people's homes. The people watching today, I'm sure we've all got big jobs list of unfinished projects. And is that because we didn't really understand? Did we hit a problem and didn't know how to get around that, or didn't know the right product? We were using the wrong product. That's where the retailer should have reached out.
Absolutely. That's usually a cause for arguments, in a marriage, if you have all these projects that you're putting on hold and you need to get them finished. Absolutely. You have all this combined experience for all the steps that we mentioned here, all the 4 stages. And that can either provide a good experience and increase loyalty, or leave your customers dreading for the next project. And it's about this customer retention again, and encouraging them to move on to that next project with you.
And increasingly, retailers are providing that telephone, text, email service to be able to answer those queries, because they know that can be used to convert sales. And that hand in hand with a website that knows where the products are in the local store. Again, you build loyalty because you've solved a problem for somebody to be able to make a difference to their home or garden. And that's a key piece here. If you've helped somebody solve that problem, get the job done, first of all, their relationships improve because things are sorted and their house looks great, and the retailers played a part in that. And I think there's something really quite significant within that.
Great. So everyone's happy.
Hopefully.
So now, obviously, we talked about this AI algorithms. When I talk to retailers on a daily basis, that's something that's great, that we can rely on this technology for automation, but we still want to have control. It's about our KPIs, our business objectives. So here you have the perfect blend of human and artificial intelligence with FactFinder. With the help of ranking rules, you can actually make sure that the order of products will be based on margins or new products or whatever categories you choose. And we put this tool in the hands of the digital teams, the marketing teams, so they can prioritize their task. That's the great thing about FactFinder, is you can really have as much or as little control as you like. You can also create some campaigns to push products or specific brands, and you have all of that real-time visualization with the platform. We talk about how retailers sometimes are not making the best of the data that they have at hand. And with FactFinder, you will see that those business teams, they can make the impact without having to go through IT every time to make changes.
Yeah, I don't know whether other people are like me, but when it comes to conversations normally about artificial intelligence or AI, I just glaze over because I don't understand how it works. I wish I did. I can't be bothered to find out. And I just glaze over and think, yeah, that's super clever. I'll leave it up to those people who know what they're doing. And conversations I've had before is, AI is like a black box. You can open up the black box, look in, but nobody knows what the hell's going on in there. This, for me, the ability to take the AI but shape it with human rules around what you want to appear as the number one in search, whether it's around innovation, because often innovation, if it hasn't got any reviews and it's not a bestseller, it's hidden in the website and people aren't searching for innovation because they don't know it exists. So unless you go to a particular stage where you are pushing innovation on the homepage, which you'll never do because innovation is often a risk and you're not confident it's going to work and it's very valuable space on the homepage. In this way, you can actually take seasonal products, innovation, whatever it is, write your own rules. When people are doing that search piece, as we spoke about earlier, those products are coming up and being seen. You're exposing them to the risk of being sold, let's say, very early on. So that combination of all the clever stuff that goes on with AI, combined with the rules that you want to apply within that category for those customers at that time, I think is without doubt best practice. And there's going to be more in this space, of course, as time goes on. But just to be able to tweak that search is very powerful.
So just to recap now, I'm pretty sure you're going to say no more lazy websites.
No more lazy websites, no more clumsy recommendations, no more just assuming that the website's role is purely as a search tool. Now, because of the lack of focus, investment, innovation by retailers, that's what the websites have become. They don't play a role in inspiration. They can't really play a role in the installation piece. And increasingly, actually, people are preferring to buy and collect in store. So it's leaving websites with a single role, just a library, just a search tool, and nothing more. That, if I can get a point across today, that is lazy retailing. That is not what you can do digitally. Digitally, you have the ability to do so many amazing things. Some of them are very, very simple and basic, and it's helping customers in the search process, providing them with visual clues, realizing they're doing a project. So therefore, let's give them those project guides, which answers the question about what do I need to achieve what I've seen on Instagram. And then not only that, but holding their hand to the point where you then say, actually, this is what you need. Actually, this is the local store to you, and it has them in stock now, and this is where you find it. Just then makes the journey seamless. It makes it effortless. It's just then you get this loyalty from customers because you've answered their questions. When you go back to what we see, and we spoke about at the very start, lovely pictures on socials that don't carry through to a website, which is just a list of products, which then you have to try and go into store because the website didn't give you the answers. And then the installation piece, you can see how disjointed that journey currently is for so many customers and why you don't get so many projects being started or completed because the answers aren't there. Imagine how many projects would be completed if every customer felt their hand was being held throughout every stage of this. What impact would that have on the industry? It would blow away that number that you gave at the start in terms of how the market's going to go, because people would be finding this quick and easy and simple and would be taking on more projects because of that.
Yeah, and what I'd like to add as well to finish is every company that uses the same mediocre methods for understanding customers will inevitably have the same mediocre experiences for those customers. So instead of offering your customers a good experience, maybe get in touch with FactFinder to deliver something really amazing. So time for the Q&A. Let's see if we have any questions.
People can ask whatever they want of us. Go for it.
I see someone's asking about how does this type of personalization work with cookies and GDPR? Well, that's the great thing about this session intent I mentioned before. We don't actually work with third-party data or with cookies. So to be fully GDPR compliant, we work with first-party data. And that's when we're able to do that specific personalization and working on that intent on that specific session. Let's see if we have any more questions.
I'm glad you answered that, Jeremy. I wouldn't have had a clue on that.
Great. Here they're asking as well, probably this one is best for you, Steve. Is there any best practices you can share for some example of customers that you've seen on the website?
I think the very fact I highlighted the problems in the process is that I don't see many retailers effectively covering all 4 stages well and seamlessly. There are some retailers, particularly kitchen retailers, who do a fabulous job in terms of inspiration. And actually that does translate onto their website because it's beautiful pictures again. But then you've got to go in store to get a quotation for your kitchen, and then the whole journey becomes a little bit more full of friction and a bit uncomfortable. But so you see retailers doing that. You've seen IKEA with TaskRabbit. You've seen, and I mentioned before, Kingfisher with Need Help platform, completing that last part of the journey in terms of helping people to find somebody to do the job for them. And what I want to do is walk into a retail store. If I want to buy Dulux paint, I want to see the Dulux paint there and think, right, okay, I can buy it, do it myself. Or there's a QR code to say, book yourself a decorator to do this for you. Click on the QR code, give your home details. You then get an appointment, visit next week, and the job's done the week after. Now, obviously, that's not the land of the living at the moment, because decorators are so busy and you have to wait 6 months, unfortunately. But that's how it should be. You have the ability to then do that. So answer to the question is, some retailers do some parts of that journey well, and others have invested in the last part of the journey or the first part of the journey without understanding that they play a role in every stage of that 4-step journey. And you need to excel in each to deliver loyalty and to get customers coming back time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's have a look. We have another question here that says, do you already have results from customers who have used this type of personalization? Yes, we do. We have a couple of examples. We have Bergspessel, which is a great example actually, because they have, from memory, they have a 33% better ACP. So that means that the where the products are when someone is going to click on them. So we have a 33% improvement on that. And we also have a first vet as a customer that saw an increase of 8% in conversion via the checkout recommendation.
And you must have something on Obi as well, because of all the work that you've done there, I guess. Whether there's a case study or something that can be pulled together on that, I think that would be very relevant to this audience anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been working with Obi for probably 10 years now. So we've got quite a bit of content. So happy to maybe send any case study or anything if people want to get in touch, and we'd be more than happy to share that. Let's see if there's any more questions. I can't see any more questions here. So just kind of to say thank you everyone for joining. Please feel free to reach out if you have any questions to myself or to Steve. Obviously, if you like a personalized demo, just you have the email address here on the screen. Yeah.
And also, if you'd like to talk to me about this or any of the other technology that I'm seeing out there, please just get in touch. Happy to have a conversation with you. Either email me, steve@irg.co.uk, drop me a message through LinkedIn. We'll be providing links to this webinar so that can then be shared with other people within your organization as well. But yeah, please get in touch if you'd like a discussion at any point. Very happy to speak with you and share my views.